Hey, welcome back. So what we want to do is save in here. So I'm here on the action edit. This is the admin.php file. And down here, this is where we go when it's time to save. So at this point, we have the course class already declared. So all we need to do is copy this. Now remember that post contains everything we need already, whatever we are adding to the table. So here we just need to say course and say update. And the first thing we need to add is the ID of what we're updating, then comma, and let's see here. Okay, so remember that before loading here, we need raw to have actually returned a result. This ensures that the correct user is authorized. This user is authorized to edit this because it's only going to return a result if the user ID matches the one that is in the session. So which means by the time we get here, the user is authorized to edit this course. So we get to the ID here, and then all we need to add is post over there. Now, of course, we need to validate this data before we can save it here. So validation must occur. And here I'm just going to say if course, where is this? Course. Now, before we do any validation for now, I just want to show you that this will work as saving. It will save once we get to this. This is all we needed to do to save. This is the beauty of writing models. It simplifies the work. We just do this and we are done. We'll save. So let's see if it actually works. So I'll refresh this and then let's add a subtitle now. And then let's hit save and it says data saved. But let's confirm it's really saved if we come back. And it definitely isn't saved, which is a pity. Yes. Let's go to courses and see what's going on in here. Are we lacking the column that we want here? So there's subtitle column here. It exists. But the question is, if we go to our model, is it enabled there as well? So back to course model. Wait, is it? Models, course, yes. So these are the allowed columns. Is the subtitle here? No, it isn't. So that's why it's not saving. So you have to make sure all the columns you add here are on the other side as well. Is published there and approved there. So let's see that. Is there currency ID? Doesn't look like. Okay, so this thing requires an update. So what I would do is I'll just select, I just want to grab all the columns from here. I'll use this selection. It's not working at all. What to do? Oh, I happen to move this one, right? It's not what I wanted to do. So I'll just grab, I'll start from here, click and drag all the way to the end because I don't want to miss any column. So I'll just come down here and put a quotes and paste. Okay, then I'll go in between. I don't want the full text and the ID, so I'll start with title. Then I'll select that and Control D to select every other space. Control D until we get to the end. Okay, there we are. So backspace, single quote, comma, single quote, and then use back and then enter. Okay, so at least that gives us, I'll put a comma even at the end here. Then I just need to delete the ones I had put previously, which sits here. Okay, this makes sure we have everything we need. All the columns are accounted for. Save. So if there are any columns that you never want to be updated, this is where you should remove them. Okay, so with that in mind, let's come back and let's refresh and let's try again. I'll type a subtitle and save. Okay, let's come back to courses and let's click again. This time you see that it actually saved that data. And we'll say a description of this course. And let me save that. Let's go to my courses and, oh, we don't show a description, right? Let's click edit and there we go. So if I come back again, maybe here the price is unknown. Let's try and save the price for this one. Let's go to pricing and it's in dollars and it's free, right? So at least we save. Let's look at the primary subject here. We just say a test subject and then let's save. Okay, so let's come back to my courses and at least we have more information down here as well, which is cool. The only problem is we're not validating this data at all, so we need to add some validation for this, otherwise we'll be in trouble. So let's come back to admin. Here is where we need to validate, so we just select that and put course. Now we'll have an edit validate because that's a different function, and let's put the data that we are validating in here. Now sometimes in the validation you may need to check for unique values. In that case you may need to supply the ID so that we know what this row is, because for example, if let's say this is the users table and you want to check for a unique email, if you try to check for the current email, you're going to find it on this particular ID. So if you supply the ID, it will help the validate function to exclude this particular ID from the check, to make sure that you are checking for other people if they already have that email or something like that. But in this case, for courses, I don't think there's anything unique particularly we are checking for, so we may not need to supply that ID. We may change our mind if that becomes the case. Okay, so if the validate returns true, then we do the rest of this. So all of this will be done. Actually, this will be done even before here. So let's do this. Okay. So when we do validate, this is the message we're going to put here. We're going to say course saved successfully, right? Okay, so the data is what we are sending. And then here, if we do an else statement, so which means we failed to validate this, so we're just going to get course. Let's do this. We're going to add info and say errors is equal to, and then let's put course error, course errors, yeah, yes, like so. So whatever errors we got, we're putting them there so that when we finally send this, it will have that information as well. So let's paste this in here as well, like this, and say here please fix the errors or something. Okay, so we know it's type save. This doesn't change regardless what we do, so we can just remove it from within the if statements and put it after here, because still we have to do this regardless, so that reduces the amount of code. So this is what we're doing here. If this is the tab where we are saving, we're going to check and validate the data, and then if it validates, we save and say course saved successfully, or if the validation failed, we say please fix the errors, and then we're going to send the errors in this part. So what we can do on the other side is simply to check if errors exist. If this is a thing, then we do have errors, right? And then we'll show the message and then display those errors. Before we can display the errors, we need to make sure edit validate is a valid function. So let's check for that in the course model. So there's validate here, and then there's edit validate. So for now, because this is part of the validation, we're just going to copy what's in the main validation, because still these need to be validated up to category. And then let's replace all of these, first name, last name, because we don't really need these guys. Let's paste here. Okay, so at least we have validation for category, primary, subject, blah blah blah, title. Okay, that is good. And let's see if title cannot, right now title does not accept numbers, so let's see how well that will do. So if we come back to the handle result here, instead of alerting us data saved, we're just going to alert us to the data like this, whatever data was returned. So if there are errors, we'll show that there are errors, etc, etc. Okay, so let me come back here and let's try to edit this. So if in photography I add a number and hit save, okay, it says too few arguments. All right, so in this case we didn't get JSON, we got an error, so that's why it's like this. It says too few arguments function validate edit. Okay, so the reason it's saying that is that in the edit validate it needs data and an ID, because we told it that we need to put an ID. Now we can make the ID optional and just put no, like that. So that makes it optional, because I don't think we'll need it here, but we'll leave it there just in case we do. So let's refresh again. Let's add a number and let's try to save. So it will say, please fix the errors, right? So there are errors, I know, because of that number. If there's no number there and we try to save, it will say course saved successfully. See? The only problem is we are not seeing the errors. It just says, please fix the errors. Which errors? So we're supposed to see the errors come back here. So let's do that, fix the error issue here, and we should be done for this top part. This is going to serve as a template for the rest of the tabs.